So my name is Mecinna Price, and I am a businesswoman in Pocatello, Idaho. And I don't know if this will work or not, but I'm going to try something new here. 10 years ago or so, 8 years ago, I invented a product that's kind of turned our life upside down. In addition to that, me and my husband own several businesses here in town, and it's been interesting to me that throughout everything that we've done, most of people's interest lies in how did you do this? How do you run these businesses? How did you invent a product? What does it take? What does it cost? And I'm kind of used to it, but I think people around me that work with me that see them are constantly surprised at how many emails and messages I get every week from people asking me for help, for financing, for patent questions, whatnot. And though I enjoy my other jobs and what I do with my other businesses, I also do struggle with feeling like I can't help people in this regard because I cannot take the time to have all these lunch meetings or mentor all these people or even write back to all the emails, because though they may think the question, how do you get a patent, is an easy question, it's not a simple question and it's not a 2-sentence answer. So I kind of thought if I could shoot some videos or some vlogs of answering maybe the dozen top business questions that I get through emails and messages, that maybe that could save myself some time and relieve some of the guilt of not being able to respond and help people as much if I can refer them to these videos. So that's kind of what I'm going to try. And I'm going to start with patents and trade shows and that part of the business, because I feel like there's a very limited few people. There's a lot of business owners, but there's much fewer that have actually invented their own product and taken it all the way to the top to where they would consider it successful and had that full fruition of their idea. So feel free to, in the comments, ask whatever questions you're wondering. I'm just going to take them out of emails to get going, and I'm hoping that this helps people and really does shed some light on how this process goes, as well as saving a lot of headaches. I figure if people can learn from my mistakes, then they don't have to make them themselves, and I've definitely made a lot. So to start out, just a little bit about myself, in case you're wondering why in the world would we even listen to her. Like I said, my name is Mecinna Price, and my husband is Dr. Jared Price. In Pocatello, Idaho, we have 5 children, ages 17 down to 9, and we have several businesses. We run Price Properties, which is just an investment. We own several apartment buildings that we manage and rent out. So then I run MP Dance Company, which is a nonprofit performing arts company, theater. And I've danced since I was 2 and 3 years old and have taught for the last almost 20 years. So we do that on our afternoons. And during the day, my time is divided between Nouveau Med Spa and Salon, which is a med spa that Jared and myself own here in our hometown, and Price Products, which is kind of going to be the focus at the beginning of this. Now, Price Products was very unintentional. It started about 8 years ago when we were in residency for medical school living in Indiana. And we got this idea for the Dripstik, and this is what it is if you don't know what I'm talking about. So one end holds popsicle sticks, fudgesicles, whatever, frozen treats, and the other end holds ice cream cones, and it catches the drips so that kids don't get messy. This end we've altered for patent issues that I can go into later. You can fill this up with pudding, juice, fruit, and then pop that in, freeze it. After it's frozen, pop it out and set it on, and they can eat their treat as well as make it. So these are made in the USA. This is kind of like our family legacy story. Our whole lives changed when that happened, and it's definitely altered a little bit of how we've done everything. So that is the Dripstik. I'm sure you've seen the knockoffs. They're all over the place and in multiple countries. So I'll go into that whole process as well, and how to deal with knockoffs and patents and whatnot. So the first question I get the most is, how do you get a patent? So there's a few things to this. When starting an invention, I hear all the time, I have this great idea. I want to go out to lunch with you to talk about this great idea. Or I have this good idea, but I don't want to tell you because I'm afraid you'll steal it. Okay, everybody has ideas. Everybody does. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't have ideas. But it takes a lot more than just a good idea to make a business. And a lot of these people that have these ideas are coming to me because they're single mothers or their fathers in between jobs, and people that have this idea that they need to find a way to provide for their family and start their own business. The very first thing that anybody needs to know in that situation is you do not make money for a very long time in this kind of a business. You just don't. And we have formed an entire business. We now have 8 different products. All are mom invented products. Most, all but one, are made in the United States now. We've redesigned, repackaged, done everything that we could with them to license them from other entrepreneurs who realized down the road that it was a little more than maybe they bargained for at the beginning, that there's a lot of money involved, a lot of capital to sit on, inventory to house and manage, employees to take care of, and it's not always what you bargain. So that's what I'm going to kind of talk about, so that most patents that are granted are not used. And I think that that's why, is because when people get going with it, they're like, oh, I had no idea how much money was involved here, or I had no idea how much time this was going to take. So when you start this process, before you even would apply for a patent, is you would need to do a patent search. And you can do this on your own online, or you can have your attorney do it. Most patent attorneys will do it anyway. I think they might have to before they even start writing your patent. And they'll do a search to find out what other patents are similar to your idea and what's already out there. Some people I've heard say, I'm going to write my own patent to save myself money. Do not do that. And there's several reasons why. If you truly have a good idea and the business sense to grow that idea and go somewhere with it, chances are you're going to have someone knock you off, and there's going to be copies out there. If you cannot stand in court and defend your patent forward and backward in front of an educated attorney, you don't write it yourself, because that's what it's going to come down to. And I know from the get-go, I am not going to be able to do that. And I don't have the time. If I'm in a court case, or I'm having to serve a cease and desist letter to Walmart or whatnot, I don't have the time to do that research and to read all the litigation and all the evidence and defend myself in a court of law. So that's why we have patent attorneys. They know what they're doing. It's their profession. Leave it to them. That being said, the cost of a patent is very significant, but it's kind of what your whole business is based on. So there's a few things. Not everything needs to be patented. I'll go over that in a second. So my first quote for my patent, I was told, would be $4,200 8 years ago. Fast forward 8-9 years down the road, we are now at over $85,000, and we're still fighting patent issues. So, and we've had to kind of roundabout go around it to patent in different ways because of past patents from 1915 and 1920 that aren't even used anymore but are still on the books, interfering with what we're trying to do. So there's a lot to it, but just know there isn't some sort of policy that states because an attorney quotes you a price for a patent that they have to stick to that price. Attorneys are all over the place as far as rates are different, the amount of work they're going to put into something's different, and you can't go back to an attorney 8 years later and say, well, I'm not paying $85,000. You quoted me $4,200 when we started this. So just because you get that quote, that is your base of your minimum. If everything goes smoothly and you get that patent within that 2-3 year period, that is your minimum price you're going to pay. So always budget for more than that, because it's almost always going to be more than that. You have your different patents. You have utility patents, you have design patents. There are different reasons to do different ones. I have learned the hard way. There's not worldwide patents. You would patent by country, and every country has its own filing fee and cost to it. So I was advised at the very beginning, only patent yourself in countries where you could go sit in court and defend yourself. So it's in a language you speak. So that would be Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, English-speaking countries. I have since, you lose your time. Once you file your patent, you have 18 months, I think, to add on those additional patents and pay those filing fees. And then when that's done, you're done. So fast forward 9 years, I've now been knocked off in Australia, in China, in Hong Kong, and I didn't patent in all of these countries. We didn't have the money to do it at the very beginning. So, and I'll go over our startup costs and all of that probably in the next video. But I couldn't patent myself in the whole world, but we have been knocked off kind of all over the world. So it's very frustrating. Just this very week, we had someone in Australia send us an email of a Dripstik knockoff in their supermarket, and my own daughter holding our Dripstik was on the packaging in Australia for some knockoff with a company that has never asked my permission to use my daughter's photo or my marketing material, certainly never contacted me or my attorney to use rights to our patent. And this is in Australia, and that was just this week. And honestly, I don't even get bent out of shape anymore about it. The first time we were knocked off, we saw the piece in Walmart, and I had a complete come apart in the store, fell apart. And you know, when you invent something, it's like your child. You have created something that didn't exist before, and it really does take everything out of you. All of your finances, all of your time. I remember, and I'm so emotional, and you will learn this if you watch any of these. I remember sitting in my office and working 16 and 17-hour days, and my husband getting out of residency and coming home from the hospital and bringing me dinner to my office and bringing me the baby to nurse because we had a big order on the line, or I was negotiating with a large retailer and I had to sit by that phone. It was before cell phones. So it was like, I can't leave the office. I can't miss the phone call. I have to watch the fax machine. I have to be on top of my emails. And when you invent something, it is everything to you. And so to see that right violated or that patent infringed upon, and someone else to just spit out this product out of a mold in China with no thought to it and put your own child on the packaging, which my kids have been on, every single knockoff packaging has had either my son or one of my daughters on it because they just pull the pictures from our website. It's quite devastating at the beginning, and then you get really used to it, and now it's like, oh, one more. So that being said, a patent doesn't mean this is never going to happen to you. All it means is you're going to spend more money defending this patent. So what happens when there's a knockoff or someone infringes the patent, what happens is I call my attorney and we serve a cease and desist letter, and that store, retailer, or distributor has the option of complying to the letter and saying, okay, yeah, we'll stop manufacturing and we'll look into your patent and we'll talk about this. Or they can say, forget it, take it to court. We'll battle this out. You know, you're not patented in this country, or your patent's still pending if you don't have it yet and you're pending. There's a variety of places it can go, but a patent does not mean you are 100% protected and this will never happen to you, because it probably will, so just be prepared for that. And then you have to decide, do I want to put the money into fighting this person? Because for me, that means I'm taking money from my other businesses. If I'm going to go to court or I'm going to sit on conference calls all day with attorneys, it means I am not working somewhere else, or I am not getting these sales and sitting on sales calls. It means I'm losing money. And I'm paying money because I'm paying my attorney to do this work for me. So, and sometimes it's just not worth it. It's like, this isn't worth it. Like, we have enough sales of our own, or we have enough retailers of our own. Let's just keep the energy positive, keep supplying our customers. I'm not going to worry about what's going on in Hong Kong or in Australia or whatever. So you do have to come to that decision. But a lot of times I think people just jump on the, oh, sue them bandwagon. Well, suing people takes a lot of time and money. And when you're spending money on that and energy, it's being sucked from another part of your life, your children, your family, or other jobs where you need that energy as well. So in that regard, some products don't need to be patented. Like there is the business aspect of patent something, be ready to defend that patent, be ready to fight for your product, and know that a lot of that business life is going to be defending that patent, which is what it is with us with the Dripstik. And then there's that mentality of, don't worry about a patent, put this product out, saturate the market as heavily as you can in a year or two, and then be done. And that's the lifespan of that product. When someone knocks it off, you're done, you move on to the next product or the next idea, and you don't waste the money on the patents, and you don't waste the time with the attorneys. and whatnot. So there's that option too. Everything doesn't have to be patented. And I've also known people that have applied for their patent and then they've waited for years before they start the business because they want that patent in place. You don't have to do that either. If you've applied and you have that date on your application and you're pending, it's retroactive. If you get your patent later, it will date back to that application date if you ever have to go to court, and you're protected up until that point. Now, if you don't get that patent, you're not. But a lot of people, I feel, lose a lot of business time and many years waiting for that patent because it can take years, 3 to 6 years, sometimes even longer to get that patent that you've applied for. So you're losing money that whole time if you're waiting. Last thing I'll touch on in this video is a ton of people ask me, who's your patent attorney and how do I go about this? Okay, one, I would never tell anybody because I just don't think, I don't like when people give out my personal cell phone and email. I'm not going to give out mine. The other is, I mean, their attorneys do specialize in different things. So you do want a patent attorney. You want a good one as well. And it's something that you kind of shop around for and find the right fit. The other thing to keep in mind, like for myself, is we have been in litigation with Walmart and Target and several large retailers and distributors in the country. And if you, I'm now wondering if I'm allowed to say those names on camera. I don't know if I am or not. I guess we'll find that out. But if your attorney represents one of those companies and you ever come in litigation with them, they can't represent you, and it's a conflict of interest. So, and it's very hard to find an attorney in this country that isn't somehow affiliated with Walmart, or Target. So that's going to be something that, you need to think of too, depending on what your product is and, what your business purpose is there. Attorneys their prices people ask me all the time, what do you pay for your attorney? I have a really good one. He's with the top firm in the country and he's very expensive. So their rates are all over. You're going to pay per hour. It is normal, I think, to be charged per phone call. When they're writing you emails, you're charged for that. It's not a cheap process, and it's definitely not where you want to skimp. So don't try to do all of your legal stuff on your own to save your money. It's just not going to work. So I'm going to stop there because I'm really long-winded and I have a ton of information and years and years and years of experience to share and go over, but I don't want these to be such long videos that people have a hard time watching them. So I'm going to stop with that one, and then we'll do a part 2 and do a separate video for that. So like I said, comment below if you have specific questions or patent information that you want or experience that you want to draw on, and I will do everything I can to answer that. All right, thanks for watching.